Hello and welcome. This is the debut, the premiere episode, the pilot episode, if you will, of the Maxi-Geek Show. This is a weekly news show where we're going to go over some of the bigger headlines of the week, talk about some of the games that have come out this week, uh, look at some new trailers, and basically just chit chat about games. We're doing this, as I said, this is the first episode, so I think I've ironed out most of the bugs, but obviously we'll discover these as we go. Things will invariably change. Yeah, so we're gonna cover off some news. I'm cheating a little bit this week. I'm using some news from last week as well from CES because it's just worth talking about. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna do the news first. We're not going to spend 10 minutes on each story. We're going to sort of just get through them as we need to. But then once we're through those, we'll then talk about some games that came out, and then we'll wrap up with some trailers towards the end. Obviously, going forward, we will get some people in to talk as well. They may appear on camera. They may just be audio. We'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, so look, without any sort of further delay, we're going to jump in and we're going to look at our first story. So, as you can see here, the headline says Razer's Project Sophia aims to make your PC desktop experience live up to its name. And by that, what I mean is they've made a computer that is a desk. Yeah. So if we scroll down, so you can see here, in the center here, there you can see the fans. It's basically sort of a laptop style motherboard. But what it does is that all the modules that you see can be swapped out and replaced. So you can see one here that says 15 watts, got a little power symbol on it. There's another version of that here. So if you don't need two wireless charging stations on your desk or as part of your computer, I'm not sure how we would classify that now. But if you don't want that, you can choose to hide those things. There we go. So you can take out that module and put in a module for a heater to keep your coffee warm or something like that. There's a thing up here about how hot the computer's running. Oh, thank you, Pelican. Appreciate the follow. So what's interesting about this is that it's a desk that you can make your own. You can literally put in parts that will let you use Adobe Photoshop or Premiere or DaVinci. So much like the Stream Deck, the modular little component that lets you have programmable keys with screens in them. You can have that in your desk. And then 12 months from now, if you need to upgrade your CPU or your RAM, or a new module comes out that offers you some additional functionality you didn't have before, you can simply take out a piece and pop in the new one. The big issue, obviously, though, that this is not a finalized product. This is why it's called Project Sophia. Unfortunately, Razer have a long-standing pedigree of doing this, so I did list some here. So the Switchblade. A Switchblade is basically a laptop screen smushed in between two Joy-Cons for the modern sort of user. It's not what it was. It was slightly different. But there were two different styles. So you could have a more traditional D-pad style, or you could have a joystick style. And they did the Edge, which was basically a Steam Deck, which was the Valve upcoming thing. And then, it's in 2014, we got Project Fiona. Project Fiona was a modular PC where you would slide components in and out, but it was still in a very tower-like configuration. So it was different, and a lot of them haven't come to be. Project Valerie was a laptop that had 3 screens, so you would open up the laptop and then you would fold out 2 additional screens. So yeah, they have a big thing where they do this. They announce these amazing things that could be incredible, and then they just never come to market. So, but it's not a bad thing that they do this. I mean, because it does mean they are thinking, they are trying new things, and they are generating conversation about what a PC can be or what technology can be. They're not just releasing cyclical upgrades to their laptop line every year. I mean, they do, but that's not all they're doing. Um, Interestingly, Asus, they've got in here. It's called the ZenBook Fold. So Asus, obviously, at CES had a lot of cyclical upgrades to their laptop line, but the one that really caught my eye was this one. So it's basically your Samsung Galaxy Fold phone, but in the size of a laptop. And what's interesting about it is that it comes with the Bluetooth keyboard, obviously, because there's no physical keyboard connected to the platform because it's all screen. Um, but when you use it, as you can see, there's a number of different layout configurations you can do. So you can have it standing up like a big book, so you've got a more traditional widescreen, regular display. You can do the folded, display, and then there's obviously just laying it down flat. Um, it is actually kind of powerful, as you can see here. It's running the 12th gen Intel Core i7 processor. So the 11th gen only came out in March of last year, so it's 12th gen is brand new. It's got two USB-C Thunderbolt ports, so you can connect it to external displays if you need to. The only downside is it has the Intel Iris Xe graphics, so there's no dedicated NVIDIA or AMD or even Intel graphics chip. Intel, obviously, they're coming into the market in the next few weeks, next month or so, with their own cards. The Intel Iris is on board as part of the CPU. So it will do some basic gaming, but it will struggle to run Minecraft at the best sort of visual thing that it can be. But yeah, I honestly just thought this was an amazing looking piece of tech. It's got Dolby sound, it's got Harman Kardon speakers in there. It sort of offers up everything that you would need in a laptop, but comes with this incredible display that spreads across both. This is not the first time Asus have done something like this. They did it a couple of years ago with their the ZenBook Pro. I can't think of the full name now, but basically they moved the keyboard to the front, and then between the keyboard and the display they put a second screen in, so it's half the size of the main screen, and it lets creators have additional tools and controls there without cluttering up their main workspace. So it's really good for folks on the travel. Now, obviously, there is a lot more happening for it than most would would expect. Who knows when it's going to come out? They haven't announced that. They haven't announced a price yet. But Asus have said maybe middle of the year for that one. But they also announced an upgrade to their laptop that works in space. Because not just any laptop can work in space. It's the same reason why they don't use graphite pencils in space. There's a whole host of other issues that pop up that most people don't even think about. Also this week, just yesterday, in fact, we got a release date for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which was that post-apocalyptic Last of Us style Kirby game that sort of shocked everyone last E3. Sorry, it wasn't even E3. It was the September Direct. My apologies. So we got a release date for that. Many were thinking either late March or sort of early May. It turns out it is late March. It's March 25th. So it's not that we got a date for it. We got a bunch of new information. So the first thing that we got is that there are 2 new power-ups. So we have here Drill Kirby. That sounds wrong in a fashion. But basically you can, with this power-up, drill through the dirt and then pop up from underneath enemies. If it sounds familiar, there was a power-up in Super Mario Galaxy 1 that did the same thing. And that was how you defeated one of the very early bosses in that game. So that's one of them. The other one is Ranger Kirby. Now, Ranger Kirby is equipped with a gun, and he can shoot just single shots, or he can charge up his shot and deal some significant damage. One of the other things too is they confirmed that it will be two-player co-op the entire way through. One player will be Kirby, the other will be a Bandana Waddle Dee. They really just need to give him a proper name. That's just a horrible name for a character. So, yeah. So, one Joy-Con each, one Pro Controller each, doesn't really matter. Um, but as you're playing through the various levels, you will be at the end of their level, there'll be a fight or a cage to break open to break out some additional Waddle Dees. And as you go through and collect Waddle Dees, you'll be able to start filling in Waddle Dee Town, and you'll be able to choose the upgrades that you get. A 30-second recap on what tabs? The show so far, or what I just said? Also, good evening. Yeah, sorry, Kirby. Yeah, um, yeah. So you'll be able to, um, you know, the more Waddle Dee you save, which will require you to sort of go off the beaten path in the levels, and find them and rescue them, you'll be able to unlock new buildings, which will give you new tools to access. One of the things you can see here in the background is there is a cafeteria or a cafe, if you will. And as you unlock it, you can then start serving Waddle Dee various things that they want. Sort of just mini games to sort of break up the flow of everything. And then Wise Waddle Dee is basically, if you can recall back to Donkey Kong Country, um, Cranky Kong did it there. Donkey Kong Country 2 was I think I'm going to say Granny Kong, but that's not the name. But if you get stuck, you can go in there and they'll give you some tips to sort of help you get through. So there's a lot. Obviously, I've got a lot of screens up on the site for it. So we'll pop the story link in the chat there, so you can go view that if you need to. One of the things that I think is cool is like even we've still got the tree from the Wispy Woods, but it's now the Tropic Woods. So it's still going to be familiar for folks, but it's not going to be the exact same game. Wrinkly Kong, that's the one. And then I think in the third one she was a ghost. So yeah, so as you can see here, so you need 50 Waddle Dee to unlock this sort of plot of land to build up a new business, new shop. So there's a lot going on in the game. But yeah, if you want to look at those screens, go ahead to do that on the site. Oh, my nose just will not stop itching. All right. So today, I say today, but very early this morning, about 3 o'clock this morning, IO Interactive hosted a live stream where they revealed the breadth of content that is coming for Hitman 3 in year 2. They are not done. Even though the main story is done, they're not done with it. They're doing a whole bunch of upgrades. So the actual presentation runs for about 14 minutes. So, if you're into Hitman, I suggest giving that a watch. But some of the things that they'll be doing is that there are more elusive targets coming into the game. I mean, it's from the deluxe edition of the game. It's just something a little different. The other one is more purple. Um, yeah, so there are new assassination targets coming into the game via the elusive targets thing, which is basically you get one shot to take them out. All this is so everything's starting on January 20, but not everything will be out January 20. So yeah, new elusive targets. Later in the year, there'll be new maps. So there'll be some new missions on new maps to undertake. There's a new game mode coming that will test players to complete a series of objectives in the fastest time possible on the maps. VR support is coming for the PC version of the game. What was the other one? Oh, PC version will also get RTX support, so real-time ray tracing will be coming to Hitman 3 on PC. And IO have said that even the very first stage, Dubai, where the sun blasts through the side of the tower with all the glass, just the reflections will completely blow you away. What is interesting is that on January 20, the game will be available on Steam. Well, I don't think it was 2015. I think it was a few years earlier than that. Um, I could be wrong. I think it was 2013 for the year of Luigi. But yeah, so January 20 we'll see Hitman 3 come to Steam for the first time. The game was exclusive to the Epic Game Store for a while. Interestingly though too, the Hitman trilogy will also release that same day. So if you don't have any of them, or you don't have you've only got maybe Hitman 1, you'll be able to get Hitman 1, Hitman 2, and Hitman 3 in one package and enjoy, one continuous adventure across the 18 or so maps. And then if you have Xbox Game Pass, the trilogy will also be launching into Xbox Game Pass on January 20 as well. So if you've never played Hitman and you have that service, this will be the perfect time to get in it and let loose in them. I will say the Hitman experience, the three the games, they are fantastic. I just struggle to play them back to back to back, not 1, 2, and 3, but level through level, because they are you can rush them, I suppose is one way to do it, but they are extremely methodical. Yeah, it's one of those things, two tabs, that nobody's really talking about. Nobody's saying, "Oh my god, these are on Game Pass. How did we not know?" So them being on Game Pass is big news. Um, it's just one of those things that they announced, but nobody really paid attention to. But yeah, so I like to think of it as a good puzzle game. If you do one mission per week or per fortnight, you can really get a lot of value from it. Especially because some levels you can literally just luck into the target walking in front of you, and you just grab them from behind, choke them out, and you're done. And then I was one mission where I had to sneak down into a laboratory under a mansion. It was in the first game, and I spent 40 minutes sneaking down there because I was waiting. I had to keep waiting for guards to pass me to make sure, because I didn't have the right clearance to get in there. So it is a big thing that we can do it. That you can take your time. You can also save as often as you like. So if you've just managed to kill one of the secondary targets, or somebody who's making your life a bit of a pain, you can take them out, save it, and then if you happen to get spotted, you can sort of rewind it and try again. The Hitman games are fantastic. They are definitely worthy, of some look into, especially if you do have Game Pass. Like, Game Pass is proving to be, the best value in video gaming at the moment. I honestly think that service will have a price increase sooner rather than later. Yeah, you can, rat poison, garrots, guns. You can cause, accidents with lighting rigs. You can lay in wait in bathrooms. I've even seen people kill people with fish. So the sheer level of creativity that the game gives you, in how you approach and how you achieve your objective, is honestly incredible. And that's what makes those games. It's not that you're killing people. If you want to kill people, there's 1,000 games that do that. But this is one game where it's not you just running in and shooting someone. It's okay. You have to find out where they are. You have to be able to take them out as quietly as you can, and then get away. So it's a bit more methodical in that. Switching over to things being killed, Lego have apparently delayed the release of the first of the Overwatch 2 sets, due to the ongoing issues surrounding Activision Blizzard. Obviously, the Brick Fan is reporting on this one, saying that they're pausing the release of the upcoming Lego Overwatch 2 Titan, set number 76980, while they review their partnership with Activision Blizzard. So this is the full statement. We're currently reviewing our partnership with Activision Blizzard, given concerns about the progress being made to addressing continuing allegations regarding workplace culture, especially the treatment of female colleagues, and creating a diverse and inclusive environment. While we can't complete the review, we will pause the release of the LEGO Overwatch 2 product, which was due to go on sale on February 1st. Now, this is a big deal. It's not a big deal because it's an Overwatch set. It's a big deal because it's Lego. Lego for years have been pushing inclusivity in their products and in their workplace. You know, they've got the Lego Friends line, which is sort of aimed at the young girl as opposed to regular Lego. But even that, they've started, you know, trying to avoid saying, you know, this is the girl Lego, this is the boy Lego. Um, so it's sort of one of those things where when a company as big as Lego, who makes so many products for so many brands, says, "Hey, your brand is not worth us investing in at the moment. You know, you need to get your stuff in order first." That's sort of a big deal. And it's not as if this is just a generic set. You know, you can see here. Yeah, so you know, we heard PlayStation were having a voice, Xbox, Nintendo. Apparently, Xbox have made some come to some decision. We're not going to know about that one. But you know, there's been countless industry insiders that have said other people that have come out in support of the staff. Um, you know, but Lego. So this is the first non industry related. This is not, you know, Prima Game Guides or you know, Joe's third party controllers saying this, right? This is a company that is not, they're not directly connected to video games. They're not making games on their own. They license out their property to have games made, but they don't make the games. So when you have a company that's outside of your realm saying, "Hey, looking in, we're not liking what we're seeing," you know, you need to start seriously thinking, "Hey, maybe this stuff needs to be a bit more, you know, it needs to get the stuff in line better." Um, you know, who knows what that'll be in the long run? It could be nothing. It could be something big. It's just one of those things, unfortunately, where I hate saying it. It's
This
just
way.
one of those things, unfortunately, where where's my fingers? We're not looking for specific information. We're not looking for, you know, them to say, "Hey, let's do this. Let's, you know, we want you to do it our way." It's not our way or the highway. It's, "Hey, we're not comfortable supporting your product while you're having such a bad issue." So, does this mean things are going to change? Doubtful. Really, really doubtful. Um, you know, there was a report by Video Game Chronicle (VGC). If I can bring it up here. So it says new report revealed. So out of the 42 CEOs listed, um, 27 of these 42 CEOs have received compensation of more than $1 million. These are apparently the highest paid CEOs in the industry. So Playtika is a Russian company. So who knows? I honestly don't, off the top of my head, don't know what they're doing. I've never heard of Skills before in my life. But when you're, you know, so EA is probably the biggest known one after Activision Blizzard. Andrew Wilson is taking home $35 million a year for his job. Um, I personally don't think anyone should be paid that amount of money. That's just insanely disgusting. But, you know, if he's doing the hard work, then sure. If he's earning that money, sure. But if you're getting paid $100 million, $154 million, you know, for the job, and Bobby Kotick's job at the moment seems to be ignoring the fact that three-quarters of his workforce are saying, "Hey, we don't want you as our boss because you're not doing enough to support us." That's a bad thing. You know, so you know, so I just saw it down the bottom here. Notable names: Yosuke Matsuda from Square Enix is 4.1 million, and then Shintaro Furukawa from Nintendo apparently earns $2.8 million a year. Oh, for sure. There's no doubt that these guys are getting more, in terms of kickbacks, not kickbacks. That's the wrong word. Bonuses and things like that. But this is the base wage. This is the wage that says, hey, you know, this is what I earn a year. This is not my bonus based on performance. This is just what I earn. So, yeah, it's not a great sign that if your company is hemorrhaging people because they're doing everything they can apparently wrong, having that much money go to the CEO who's not making any changes. Yeah, it's not a good thing. Oh, I'm talking so much here. Stock is obviously the thing. I know Andrew Wilson gets a lot of stock as well. So uh, another interesting thing, again from VGC, is that Microsoft have apparently discontinued production of the Xbox One. So we knew that they were going to do this. Obviously, it makes sense. But apparently, once the Xbox Series X and Series S consoles got out the door, they pulled the pin on all Xbox One development, production. So if you find one in stores, that's going to be sort of the last ones you can get for a while. Interestingly, reports are coming in that a PlayStation are going to ramp up PlayStation 4 production again because they can't get the components to make the PlayStation 5, but they have components to make PlayStation 4. So it's a little interesting to see which order they're sort of going in there. Which it's one of those things where I get why they've said, hey, no, we stopped making them because we want to focus on our new hardware. And given that everything for Xbox is backwards compatible and forwards compatible, it's not really an issue. Um, but I do think it's a bit funny with PlayStation ramping up again out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, but ramping up again after saying, hey, no, we're going to focus on our next gen, realizing they can't do that, so now they're going backwards. So, yeah, I thought that was a little interesting as well. Oh, right. Something that I wish was happening now is that Serious Sam is getting a new standalone expansion later this month, like in a week's time. Um, so Serious Sam, obviously, if you are like me and you're an old gamer, Serious Sam is uh, what's the best way to describe him? Serious Sam is Duke Nukem, but without the fun personality. So Sam will make the jokes, he'll make the quips, but they tend to be more of a serious quip than anything else. Um, so Devolver teased this um, at the end of their showcase they did just after the Game Awards last year. So it's the same thing as all the other Serious Sams. You have a lot of guns and a lot of enemies to shoot. The big thing is this one takes place in the frozen wilds of Siberia. That's it. It started out initially as a mod, as like a fan made mod. Yeah, so Serious Sam 4 did release back in 2020 for PC, and then it sort of just released out of nowhere on PS4 and Xbox One last year. And the technology that they have created for the game is incredible because Serious Sam's big appeal is that they're. See, I made that joke to the PR folks tabs. I said Siberia Sam, and they just sort of gave me that whole, really? You made that joke? Why would you make that joke? I also said that it's called Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem, and I was thinking, why couldn't they find another word for mayhem that started with S? You know, but they did what they did. But yeah, the tech for Serious Sam 4 has them able to throw hundreds of enemies at you at once, and not just like 20 or 30 of one enemy type where they run at you. I'm talking like 100 enemies. It's definitely a silly game, and it's definitely all about shooting things. So there's a few sort of twists on the old style of enemies, like these guys here with the, I don't know what you'd call them, the visor helmets. They're new. The mechs obviously are not. Hello, Magicast. Thank you for joining. Welcome. So we're just talking about the new Serious Sam, you know, game coming out on the 25th of January. Thank you. I did put some time into it. I wanted to make sure that that I had something appealing. Uh, Also, after maybe 2 years too long of waiting, Ubisoft are finally bringing the Ezio collection, the three personal favorite Assassin's Creed games to Switch, which is something that I was really wanting them to do a while ago. Don't be wrong, I love Black Flag. I think Black Flag is amazing. Yeah. Oh God, they had that cartoonish art style. First Contact, I think, was the subtitle. Yeah. Yes, I have animated transitions and everything. I've gone all out on this. Um, what was I saying? Yeah, so Switch users have Assassin's Creed 3 along that comes with the Assassin's Creed 3. I can't remember the subtitle for it. It's the one with the female assassin set in New Orleans. So that's on Switch, and then that, unfortunately, the port of Assassin's Creed 3, the main game, is not so stable. But then after that, they released Assassin's Creed: The Rebel Collection, which was Black Flag and Rogue, or as many people call it, Rouge, because they can't spell correctly. Um, and that was really well done. And then once that released, everyone was like, "Okay, when are you bringing the Ezio collection? When are we going to get the other Assassin's Creeds?" And they finally announced it, and it's coming out on February 17th. So it is obviously Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and Assassin's Creed Revelations. Liberation, that's the one. Thank you, Magic House. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, so this is from Revelations, because Revelations was set in Constantinople, which we know today, as Turkey. Um, but while Assassin's Creed Syndicate had some of the best free running in the series. Um, I just these games, I just spent so long playing these games, so being able to play them again on Switch, I'm honestly just looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fantastic, time to revisit them. Um, what is a little interesting is that the game will come with Assassin's Creed 2 on the cartridge, and then ownership of the cartridge will give you access to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Revelations. So one game on the cart, the rest you'll have to download. And unfortunately, with those games and the short movies that you also get, you need about 35 gigabytes of storage. So I did confirm this with Ubisoft, because of how it's one of those things where everyone who does these sort of big collections, they do things a little differently depending on the type of game. So I wanted to make sure that we were going to be getting the right style of things. Stalk tripod. I'm drawing a blank on that one. I'm drawing a blank. I can't think of what you're talking about. Now, obviously, I don't normally cover sneaker news. It's not my thing. But there is a sneaker collaboration coming from Naruto. Oh, okay. So when you said tripod, I was thinking something to do with Abstergo, and I'm like, I don't recall there being many interesting things to do with Abstergo. So, yeah. So there's a new sneaker line coming that Naruto themed. Obviously, we've got Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke there. Uh, Looking at them at the side, or even from here, they don't look that. There's nothing that says this is a Naruto shoe, but on the back of them, you can see you get the icons for their things. You get the swirl that Naruto has. You get the Uchiha clan, icon there. I don't know why Sakura's is a circle. It's been a few years since I've watched Naruto, so I can't draw a line as to why that one is that way. I just thought it was interesting that they're doing that. That we're going to see some new, uh, you know, it's not just game shoes that we're getting. We're getting other things as well. I also wanted to talk up just quickly some of the new games that have hit Xbox Game Pass in this week, because there's two really big ones. So Spelunky 2 is now on Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, which is Xbox Game Pass for PC. They renamed it last year. And then we also got the Anacrusis. And it's in early access, or game previews they call it. And it's like a roguelite game. So there's obviously going to be a lot of replay value in it, or there should be a lot of replay value in that. Let me put it that way. And the Anacrusis was going to be the last game entered in this month. And obviously Magic Cast, you went around before we mentioned that the Hitman trilogy, so Hitman 1, 2, and 3 are all hitting Game Pass on January 20. So what's that, next Thursday is when they'll all be there. Interestingly though, as games get added, some games get removed, and here's our list of titles being taken away, from the show, from the service, I should say. Excuse me. My nose just will not stop itching. It's driving me insane. The Assassin's, what do they call it? The Assassination Saga, I think is what they sort of call the 3 games. Something like that. But yeah, so all 3 games on Game Pass January 20. Honestly, didn't know Desperados 3 was on the service, but there you go. And they're all leaving tomorrow. And obviously, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Yeah, there's been a few of those. The Mass Effect Legendary Edition is also came out to Game Pass earlier in the in the month as well. So now I'm just going to show these off because I'm very happy with these. This is something that I've been working on for a week and change now. I've still got a few days left to go of these things. So every year, sites put together, hey, these are the games coming out. I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to take a look at some studios, some publishers, and say, okay, we know what some of them are doing, but what are the rest up to? So I've done Nintendo, I've done PlayStation, Xbox, Activision Blizzard, I did earlier in the week, and then I'm doing them alphabetically. So I did Capcom, Electronic Arts, and Embracer. I know I did Electronic Arts before Embracer, but I was going to list Embracer as Kosh, so that's why I did it in that order. So Capcom, Division 1 is the team that does Resident Evil and things like that. Devil May Cry is also done out of that team as well. Desperados 3. I remember I was at E3 and I was on the show floor just killing some time, and I was actually at the THQ booth, and there was nobody playing the demo. I had 4 stations, 2 sets of 4, and nobody was playing it. Division 2 is Monster Hunter and Ace Attorney at Capcom, and Division 3 is Street Fighter. This was the one I found to be most interesting. So Capcom have a studio called Blue Harvest. Right? This is not a studio they work with. This is a studio that they own. This is a division that makes games for them, and I have no idea what they do. I searched through LinkedIn, I searched through financial reports, I searched through social media. I can't even find out where this studio is located. So this is it's really bizarre. I found the studio, but I found the name of the studio, but I found no details on this studio. It is honestly super weird that it exists like this. That there is a development arm of Capcom that don't even know what they do. Um, so yeah, initially when I was going to do the list, I had it. I had 505 Games, Devolver Digital, and Aperna Interactive, and I think my list at one point was like 27 publishers long, and then I went, No, no, I'm dedicated, but I'm not that dedicated. Obviously, Devolver don't own a lot of studios; they just help publish a lot of things. They have a few. Um, I mean, I'll go back to EA, but this is Embracer. So Embracer is the group that owns Koch Media, Deep Silver, THQ, Gearbox, so many things. Coffee Stain Studio, Coffee Stain Publishing. But if I'm just going to scroll. Right, so I've got a few trailers splattered throughout, but you know, I'll pop this one in the chat so people can check it out. But this one, I listed 54 of the 111 studios that Embracer own. So I went through, and again, I went through, so this Gate 21, never heard of them before I put this list together. And it's a group that Embracer bought specifically to make use of their animation stuff. So this is a company that does technologies for animation to make facial animation and capture rigs to allow for better visuals, better smoother animations, whatever you want to call it. Didn't know they existed before then, but they do. So this is where are we now? We're in the THQ section, and then MX versus ATV Legends is the last one on that list. But yeah, this one took forever to put together. So yeah, I'm scrolling through this. I have to imagine that they've forgotten that they own some. Like, I have to imagine that at one point they've gone, "Hey, we like this studio. Let's go buy them." And then they've reached out to say, "Hey, we want to buy you guys." And then the boss has gone, "Yeah, but you bought us like 3 years ago, so I don't know what that's going to do." Um, so what I thought was interesting is under the so Embracer Group of a high level, and then inside Embracer Group there's Koch Media, THQ Nordic, Gearbox, Saber Interactive, Amplitude Game Investment, and then Coffee Stain. Inside the Koch Media umbrella is the Deep Silver label, and then inside the Deep Silver label is these guys. So it's very, multi-tiered sort of thing. But what I thought, oh yeah, 100% sure. There was some studios that are based in like Poland, that were supporting each other. Like, hey, our friends at this studio are looking to hire people, rah rah rah, stuff like that. But most of them will generally just keep to themselves. But this was interesting. So Dambuster Studios were the studio that did Homefront: The Revolution. Um, Before they were Dambuster, they were Crytek UK, and they helped work on the Crisis 2 and 3 titles for Crytek. But before then, they were Free Radical Design. There's a lot of publishception. I can't even pronounce that. So Dambuster Studios were Free Radical, then they were Crytek UK, now they're Dambuster. And then rather than just rename Dambuster Studios back to Free Radical, Deep Silver spun up Free Radical Design again. So we know they're making a new Time Splitters game, for lack of a name, we'll just call it Time Splitters 4. But they only started this last year, so it's going to be a while before we see anything from them. But yeah, I just sort of wanted to show, this one here, like Gearbox Publishing, they don't make games, they just help other studios bring them to, so they're doing Homeworld 3. They just did Tribes of Midgard, and then Godfall was them as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And that's why Gearbox is here and not in the Take-Two Interactive, because Take-Two Interactive, they own the publishing license for Borderlands and, anything related to Borderlands, but they don't own Gearbox. So yeah, it's a little weird. Electronic Arts, though, is more interesting. I thought it was more interesting. Embrace is good, but it's just purely because there's so many of them. but so BioWare have two main studios. We have got Edmonton, which is where Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Sonic RPG from the DS, where those titles are made. And then we've got the Austin studio, and the Austin studio is where the Old Republic MMO is created. So they're doing that there. Codemasters, like when you say when someone says, "Hey, this new game from Codemasters," you just go, "Oh, cool, Codemasters, right?" But no, there's like 5 studios for Codemasters. The Southam studio is where the Grid series is done. The Birmingham studio is where the F1 series is created. The Cheshire studio was actually the studio that did Drive Club when they were PlayStation, and when PlayStation shuttered them, Codemasters spun up that same team as the Cheshire branch. So there's a whole lot of things. I was trying to think what other games they've done that people would actually know, like Jade Empire. I love Jade Empire. If somebody remastered Jade Empire, or even if Aspire ported that to Switch, I'd be over the moon. Like, where if I go back into the Embracer one, so Embracer own Aspire, and they're part of the Saber Interactive branch. Where are we? Saber. There we are. See, Aspire. So Aspire are the folks that brought Knights of the Republic to Switch last November, and then also like Bounty Republic Commando to Switch and PS4. They've done so many Star Wars games lately, but they're also the studio that are remaking Knights of the Old Republic for PC and PlayStation 5. So yeah, there's a lot that Aspire are doing. So if they want to port Jade Empire across, I'd be more than happy to see that. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought these were cool, just purely big because there's so much, so many options for them, so many studios that most people don't even think about. So EA, for example, they've got 2 new studios starting up in Seattle. One is being founded and run by Kevin Stevens, who was at Monolith Productions. And he was sort of the guy that sort of led the development on the Shadow of Mordor series. And then the other studio that's starting up in Seattle is being founded and run by Marcus Lehto, who was one of the co-creators of Halo. So yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff there, which again is kind of interesting on how all this is working. But that's sort of the big news of the week. Is that I did want to talk about some of the games that did come out this week. There's only really 2. Well, there's 3, but there's 2 that I sort of think are really cool. The first is Monster Hunter Rise, released on PC. It is the same game content-wise that hit Switch back in March. Yes, it'll be back. It'll be on every week. I'll probably look at doing maybe a 7 o'clock start, and then go for like an hour and 15. But thanks for stopping in, Magicast. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed what you saw from me. So Monster Hunter Rise said hit PC. I put 85 hours ish on the Switch version. Over the year, most of that was in the early days. And then when I was playing the PC version, it's the same content. It just looks a little better. So the textures are sharper, the shadows, they're not as pixelated. Things like that. So yeah, I just think it looks so good. If you've not played it before, the Switch version, the PC version is a great way to get into it. Also out this week, out today. It was the Maxi-Geek Game of the Year. It was also the game we kept returning to, and the Switch Game of the Year. So it took out 3 of the awards. I honestly I didn't know if it was going to be this one or Metroid Dread that was going to take home Game of the Year, based on the conversations that people were saying. But they all had different things to say about different games, and yeah, this is just the one that got the most votes. So that's how it shook out in the end. God of War also hit PC today. I've started playing that one. I started playing it yesterday for review. I'm not going to be playing the entire game again because I obviously did play it through on PS4 for review. So this is more just going to be like a technical review. How does it run on PC? Obviously, because it was built for a very specific piece of hardware back in the day. The other game that hit this week is Astroneer. Finally came to Switch. It was due last year, but it took a while for it to get there. So yeah, there's a few things that that sort of interest me about Astroneer, but I want to see more of it before I sort of get into it. We've only got about 10 minutes left. I don't want to make these shows too long. I think an hour is sort of a good length. So I wanted to show off just a few trailers. So not all of the trailers. Some trailers go for like 5 minutes these days. Outer Wilds, that's another one. Like, that was due to come out last year, and they sort of just went radio silent on it. They released the DLC for the other platforms, and they said that will come to Switch, but they didn't say they had to wait for the Switch version to come out. So, but yeah, I want to show this trailer off. So this is a game called The Company Man. It did come to PC last year, and it was just announced as coming to Switch the other day. Now, this is basically a Metroidvania-style game set in a corporate office. So let me just paste the video in chat so you can check it out yourself. But yeah. Yeah, so that's The Company Man. I know there's just something about it that just seems so satisfying to me. Not the whole beating people up, but beating people up in a corporate environment. As someone who's worked in an office for 15 years, there are just some people in there you just want to take a keyboard to occasionally. They're loud, they're shrill, they have conversations that shouldn't be done publicly, or even worse, they reheat fish in the only microwave in a very small kitchen. So there's always something going on, with folks that do things like that. So it could be one of those things where it's part of the peer review system. We never truly know. There's obviously a story behind it, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. This next one, I suppose I want to show. Let me just turn it down a little bit. It's just pure gameplay from Gran Turismo 7, which is launching on March 4 for PS4 and PS5. I've never got into the Gran Turismo series purely based on the fact that it's just realistic racing, and that never really appealed to me. It never grabbed my attention back then. But I understand the appeal now, and I don't approve of the whole you need to be online to play the bulk of this game for reason that they've given that makes no sense. But I will say, Polyphony Digital, they are masters of the craft when it comes to the visual, the level of detail that this game provides. So yeah, again, we're not going to watch the whole thing. This one goes for like 4 minutes. But I just thought it was an interesting trailer to sort of look at. And then the last one that I wanted to show off a little bit of was some of the trailer for the new Witch King Destiny 2 expansion, the Witch Queen. And it is just for showing off the new location,
We're
essentially,
in the
this trailer.
domain of the god of cunning. Things are never what they seem. Be careful.
So I don't actively play Destiny anymore. I never really got into Destiny 2. It was good, but it's one of those games where I just don't have time for a game that's 40, 50, 60 hours of content on repeat. So yeah, it's just one of those ones where I wish I had time for it, but I don't. Um, but yeah, I think that's gonna be the show for this week. I will, as I said, I think initially it was going to start at 8, and then I thought no, we'll bring it forward, half an hour. But I think what we'll do is we'll do 7 p.m. Melbourne time going forward, and then we can run for an hour, hour and 10, go over a little bit if we need to. Um, but yeah, so hopefully this was entertaining. Hopefully there was some news in here that people enjoyed. I said this is the first episode, so I will check back and see what might need to change and what we can do going forward to make it even better. Um, but otherwise, that's sort of where we're going to wrap it up. We are back streaming on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time for the next entry in our Bond series. We're sort of in the final third of GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64, so with any luck, we'll be able to get that all knocked out this week. Thanks, Tams. I appreciate the support there. Yeah, so we're back with GoldenEye on Tuesday, and then we'll be back next Friday for the second episode of the Maxi-Geek Show. I did think I was like trying to come up with a fun name for it, and then I just went with the Maxi-Geek Show because it just makes more sense. But yeah, so that's us done for this week. Obviously we're coming into the weekend, so if you're looking forward to playing some games, I hope you find one that works for you, and I hope you enjoy it. Otherwise, we'll catch you next Tuesday, and happy gaming. Have a good one.